Now recording.
The following podcast may have adult humor,
swear words,
innuendos of a adult nature.
making fun of me.
That's a given. Everybody looks forward to that. But just know that you have been warned, so you listen at your own eardrum's peril.
I actually have a question for Pepper, but it will probably take a whole nother episode. But what got you into making music?
What got me into making music? Well, it started when I was a child, actually. You know how every mom is like, oh, I want my child to grow up to be a great pianist and a great musician, and I'm going to pay for classes.
Piano lessons. Yep. Did not work for me.
Just it kind of worked for me. We tried group lessons at a very early age, and then I tried private lessons around middle school age. And I made a little bit of progress, but piano never really held my attention. I left it behind, and it wasn't until I was about 24. This was a couple years after I'd lost my remaining vision, because I was born visually impaired, glaucoma, and, then some retinal detachments, and then my eyes had decided they'd had enough. But anyway, 24, my brother came down. He is he's up north, and he brought a Yamaha Reface DX with him, which, okay, this is, it's a bit of a different topic to PDF readers, but any of y'all listening who are interested in synthesizers, the Yamaha Reface line gets dismissed a lot as a toy. It's really not. They're like, well, before the chip shortage, they were what, $300-400, solidly little built things with fantastic mini keys. And honestly, as a first synth, probably couldn't do better. I had so much fun with the Reface DX, and before anyone gets excited, well, anyone blind, it has a screen. Which, unfortunately, linear FM synthesis is quite complicated, but the other Reface keyboards in that line do not have screens. And I have the Reface CS, which I purchased after I had hours of fun with my brother's DX. And that one's all faders all the way down, with the exception of the little pitch bend lever thing. But no screens, no nothing. You just make cool sounds on that thing. And I had that for a couple of months. I played with it. And then I'm like, well, you know what? I want more. So I got myself a little semi-modular. And then after that, I decided, well, I need a drum machine. So I got a drum machine. And then after that, I'm like, well, you know what? I want a really nice digital piano. So I saved up, and I got a really nice digital piano. And then I got my mixer and my equipment rack to tie it all together. And eventually the Mac came into play when I realized that hardware synths were just not practical at all. Like, listen, more power to you if you have the space and the money to set up a $4,000 Euro rack setup. I don't. So, a $700 M1 Mac Mini with Logic Pro is just so much more practical. And I just kind of went from there, slowly building up my collection of sounds, slowly building up my slowly building up my music skills. And I make music now. It's pretty great.
Really good music at that. I
Pretty
know.
good.
I used to pop in whenever I could and listen to it on Twitch whenever you would stream until I finally got fed up with Twitch and just deleted my account because I just hate like Twitch. But I mean, it has its
Oh,
purpose, you know.
Twitch.
Yeah, wonderful,
Twitch
wonderful
has
Twitch.
its highs and lows.
Yes,
The
you know,
interface is definitely a low.
it is. You know, and there's lots of good content out there. But you know, I don't want to get caught up with all the other advertisements out there. And no, I'm not interested in that. Why are you telling me that I am interested in that? You know, just
Yeah.
finally got to the point. I was having a bad day anyway. It's like, you know what? I can get rid of it. You know,
Yeah.
and
Because
just
we don't
deleted it.
stream anymore on Twitch, do we?
No, Jim
I didn't
has
think
one
so.
for Knights of the Braille.
That's what I meant. I didn't
But
think we,
no, me personally, we don't with the Blind Knights
because
because
when I did my first campaign with Jim, which my character's still in limbo, but
no, your character's dead.
okay, he's dead. We always streamed on Twitch, and the Tuesday night campaign used to stream.
Yeah. But speaking of D&D, we'll just continue this, and then I'll edit it into a couple of different podcasts. Jesse and I both play D&D. I have a passion for other RPGs as well. Don't know that I ever get to play the majority of them or even half of them, but I love them. I love reading them,
Your
the concept of them.
your comment yesterday that you think I could run a Ghostbusters, was that a hint that you want me to run a Ghostbusters game?
See what I mean, Pepper? He's kind of thick
Because
sometimes.
I'll do it. I'll gladly do it.
Of course. I mean, that's my
Okay.
childhood. That and Ninja Turtles and Thundercats. But
Is there a Ninja Turtles RPG?
there probably is. But I mean, all you'd have to do is use the turtle from D&D 5e. Because
Yeah, I
that's
know, but
basically
you look
a
at all
turtle.
kinds of games. I just didn't know if one existed.
I've looked
I-
at them, but I can't remember. I'm sorry,
I
Pepper.
mean-
Go ahead.
I honestly, I'm sure it exists. If not, there's at least a reskin of like an existing RPG. I mean, there's Star Wars RPG. There's
Oh,
like
yes.
Pokemon
There's a Harry
Trainer
Potter
RPG. I didn't know
Oh,
there was
yes.
a Harry Potter RPG.
Oh,
Well,
yes.
at least Richard told me there was. I don't know anything about it.
I'm in the middle of converting it to be able to be read. It's
Ooh,
it runs off
excellent.
of the Powered by the Apocalypse engine.
Oh man,
I really like that
PTA.
engine.
Yeah. We actually use that engine or the dice system for the combat in the Monday night group that I run. Makes
I
it a
love
lot
that
easier.
engine. Yes, I agree.
But
Not as much math.
yeah, and I hate math. But Pepper, as it comes to TTRPGs, how long have you been playing role playing games?
How long have I been playing? Let me think here. Well, since the pandemic started, I think. Like probably a lot of people, a lot of other people probably started, and it was around 2020.
Yeah.
I got approached by a group of old high school friends, and they're like, hey Pepper, how you doing? And it was fun reconnecting with them, and they're like, hey, do you wanna play some D&D with us? And started playing D&D, but I wasn't quite sure how to do it on account of the fact that I'm blind. So I started doing a little research, and that is when I stumbled across
The Knights of the Braille.
Sweet.
you have to say it like that. It's the law.
Well, some of us can
I've been
try
a part
to say
since
it,
the
but-
beginning, and I didn't know that. So okay.
So we don't tell Jesse everything. You know.
I have the same story as you, though. I've always wanted to play D&D, and I saw an ad for Knights of the Braille, and the Prop Tech Tidbits, I believe, was the newsletter. And I emailed Jim, and it was the
Interesting.
year before the pandemic. But I remember, pandemic was a crazy time. That's all I'll say.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was.
I found them through the the r/blind subreddit.
Oh, that's right. I don't ever poke around there much. Is that a good one to look at?
I think it's one of the better ones, but
Okay.
then again, I might be biased with the whole blind thing.
I don't.
Well,
I very rarely
too,
go out
so.
to Reddit.
I've gotten down some rabbit holes of Reddit, but I just haven't done it in a while, and I never looked at the one.
Oh boy.
I've gone
Yeah.
down
Mine was
the
the
coffee Reddit.
mine was the no sleep Reddits where I would lose my time.
r/no sleep. I used to go on there. I'll be honest, I'm not particularly active on Reddit anymore, save for a few places, mainly because it well, to be blunt, it reminds me of it makes me feel like I'm talking to clones of my exes, which is not the most pleasant feeling.
No,
r/blind is r/blind is definitely one of the better subreddits
Okay.
in my
I've been a lurker. I've never
perusing
really
of the site.
posted, but I would never want to talk to my exes. So no.
I'll go out there if it answers one of my questions, but that's about it. So you've played a lot of D&D then, Pepper. Have you played other games? I know you're part of the Cats, I believe, as well as Lasers and Feeling.
Yes.
What is
so-
lasers and feeling?
Well, Jesse, it's when you get upset, that's your feeling, and you shoot somebody
Yes.
with a laser.
I
Yeah,
guess
see?
I would know these things if I'm more active on the Discord.
Gee.
That's what
Right,
Richard
well.
always tells me.
I will start with Cat, because as the Knights of the Braille's resident animal person, I gotta say I do like my animal-based TTRPGs, and Cat is quite fun. You play as a house cat, and you go on adventures, and everything is from the point of view of cats.
I think I
And
need to do
you
this.
do cat things, and you eat cat foods. Our most recent major campaign was all about getting one of the local cats into the cat show and helping him win, so that we could get a year's supply, or maybe it was a lifetime supply. I forget. A lot of free cat food. And I'm happy to report that it went swimmingly.
I need to do
That
this.
is awesome. Yeah.
I need to do this game.
And Mostly Blind Gamer is the one that runs it on the Knights of the Braille, and I'm sure he does a good job. He keeps telling me I need to pop in there and listen, but y'all know how life is. First one thing and another pops up, and it's like, oh yeah, and then I can't do
Especially
it.
your
Tell me
life now
about
that
it.
you're literally the boss of Knights of the Braille now.
I know. I'm telling you, I don't like responsibility. So
Well, you should
tell us about-
definitely.
go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna say you should definitely stop by to spectate whenever you can. We get up to our little feline antics, and sometimes we have our own little arguments and little spats. And let's just say Sharpclaw and Claudia, they are two cats that, well, they don't like each other very much.
Sounds like
I
our
love
two
it.
cats in this house.
I love it. So tell us about Lasers and Feelings. It's a game that I've heard of, but never looked into either.
Lasers and Feelings is my personal favorite. That one is GM'd by Tiny Dot Valkyrie, and I gotta say, she is a great DM and an absolute bean. And I've actually hosted a few sessions myself. It was my first dabble into being a GM.
Uh-huh.
And Lasers and Feelings is a sci-fi TTRPG. Think Star Trek, but a little more whimsical. There is one... Oh, sorry?
Go ahead. I was going to ask if we could think Star Wars. I'm not a Star Trek fan.
I was
Just-
gonna.
Ah.
He's
Mm, maybe I would say it's more like a cross between Star Trek and Mass Effect, but
Ooh,
there's
okay,
no
okay.
Reapers.
I can deal with this part. I can deal with this.
Okay. But there is one stat and one stat only, and that is your LF number. And it is a number that is between 2 and 5. The closer it is to 2, the more feelings oriented you are. That is the F in LF. And the closer to 5 it is, the more lasers oriented you are. And feelings is all about intuition and emotion. You know, say, being the diplomat of the group, or you know, pulling off stunts, stuff like that. Whereas lasers is all technology and being analytical. And I play a character, Yanara. She is a Heffen, which is a species that looks very much like an Earth fox, but absolutely not a fox because this is science fiction, and these are aliens, not foxes.
Sweet. Jess,
And,
that sounds like
sounds-
fun, don't it?
it does sound like a lot of fun. I'm playing the D&D, which I enjoy. It's nice. I'm looking more towards like lighthearted games now. Like even the campaign I run is more lighthearted, and there's just something to be said about playing a game and having fun because the game itself is lighthearted and fun.
Oh, absolutely. And there's just, I honestly, my favorite thing is just the variety, and I guess you could say the insanity of it all. It's just, you can do basically anything you want. Like, and I'm you know, I guess this counts a little bit as tooting my own horn, but the session I hosted for Lasers and Feelings was it took place on the planet Abraxas, which looked exactly like the world from Tron Legacy, and it was all about taking down the cat mafia, also known as the Nyakuza, in order to help the wolves take back their illegal light bike parts trade for the local light bike races, which are everything on there. And you know, in the process, you got your ship fixed because, you know, there's got to be a hook. You know, there's got to be why should the party do this campaign and not just fly on by? And in that case, it was because the life support system had gone kaput. But that's the fun of it, you know. Other campaigns I've played, you know, we've been swallowed by a giant cyber robot space whale. Another one, the one we're currently in, we have to take an AI inhabiting an artificial body. Her name is Alpha Rho, to the, I don't remember the acronym, but it was a government office with a big long acronym, and we have to get her registered as a novel life form. And we have to find a way to get past the line, which has an approximate wait time of 2.5 months.
That sounds just awesome.
Yeah, it
You
does.
know, it sounds like something I'd love to play in. You know, and I was actually looking at the other games this morning. Whenever I was going through my binge of buying TTRPGs, and I found several lasers and feelings hacks. Like, found one that has to deal with fantasy, one that deals with one of my favorite things is wrestling. So, you know, found one of those, and it seems like the perfect system to be able to basically make any kind of game that you want to.
You can do pretty much anything in there. I'm working on a campaign at the moment for a server which is, well, it's somewhat related. You probably heard about it. You know, the and feel free to cut this out if you know you don't want like a cross promotion thing, but they are
Oh no, it's all about it.
okay.
You know,
But formerly Ladies Alliance of Gamers, now Let's All Game, and we're having our 100 user little celebration, and I am planning a game of Lasers and Feelings for that right now. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, Danny and I've talked to Marcella, once or twice, but I talked to Danny a good bit. I actually play in the game with Danny, and she may get upset if I don't say Danny Marie. So, Danny Marie, same person. Really, really sweetheart.
She and
she's
Marcella, they're both wonderful people. I got Danny Marie set up in Stardew Valley not long ago. Actually, that was quite a lot of fun.
That's a game that I really want to check out.
I'm curious about that as well.
Yes. I honestly I would be happy to show both of y'all Stardew Valley, because it is very quickly becoming one of my absolute favorite games, which is, I guess, not really that surprising. It's kind of the darling game of the indie game fan base.
Right. But everything I've read about it and heard people talking about it seems a lot of fun.
Is there a demo of it, or is it just something you have to buy cold turkey?
You gotta buy it. I believe it's $15 US. You can get it on Steam. You can get it on GOG. You can get it through Xbox, through Xbox, the Game Pass thing. Mind you, you can only use the accessibility mods on PC, and the mod developer, I do not know how to pronounce their name, Shoeb. That's how my screen reader pronounces it. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. They strongly recommend the Steam version because you have to install SMAPI, and that's set up most easily for Steam. And you know what? I could go on an entire tangent about the inaccessibility of Steam, but
I was just going to ask you that, because I always heard that it was a pain to get things from.
It is.
Oh, okay. I guess I will talk about the inaccessibility of Steam. Well, it's frankly quite awful. One might say that it's criminally inaccessible. It's really bad. The login screen is inaccessible. And it's really quite frustrating, especially when you have games like The Veil, Shadow of the Crown, which are meant to be played by blind people, on Steam. And
yeah, that kind of
platform.
defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
Exactly. So, Valve, Mr. Gabe Newell, if you are listening, please. Quite like using the platform, and it would make it quite a lot easier for me to give you money. That thing that you need.
Yeah, like I say, our money spends just as good as somebody who can see.
So you basically need a sighted, which I have, but a sighted person to get any game from Steam?
Not necessarily. You need a screen reader, a lot of patience, and preferably some alcohol.
Well, I can do that.
Perfect. Essentially, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get it set up. You're going to want to use the website through a traditional web browser as much as you possibly can, and it's still not great. I mean, just to give you a little example, the footer semantically, well, first of all, it doesn't use the footer tag in HTML. It uses, like, straight up, the name of the element is #footer, which I believe that's a class in CSS, but that's getting into nerd talk. Basically, the website is built horrendously, but it's more accessible than the Steam client. You make your account there, you get the Steam client installed. There is a guide on using Steam with a screen reader, and I'm going to have to look this one up, but it involves appending your login info to the Steam exe file. And then, if you have the Steam mobile app, which is mostly usable, surprisingly, at least on iOS, you type in the code from the Steam mobile authenticator, and that'll get you logged in. And if you purchase a game through the Steam website, there is a link that can automatically start the game download if you have the Steam client open. More often than not, though, you're going to have to tab and trundle along through the Steam client until you get to this table, and you have to find it and use the applications key and click download, and then you just kind of have to press enter a few times and hope that the window popped up. Windows 10 OCR comes in very handy for this sort of thing. But the
Richard
long
would
story
definitely
short,
get mad and be like, "Forget it."
yeah, no,
I already gritted my teeth way before Pepper even got to the whole tabbing thing.
yeah,
It's like,
long story short, it's a massive. It's a massive ball ache. It's not fun. It's doable, but it's not fun. Steam, get your shit together. Come on.
I got that. Did you just say ball ache?
Yes.
Oh, I am definitely stealing that, and I'm going
It's a
to use.
perfect
It's
word.
Yes, it is.
It's a British thing. Funny enough, I spend a lot of time with UK friends, so just kind of stuff you pick up.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to be using that one. I can't wait till my roommate gets home. Uh, but Pepper, I want to thank you for joining us. But I have two quick questions. Before we end this, do you have a favorite character that you have been in an RPG? Like, for instance, I prefer playing dwarves and sorcerers. Do you have a favorite class and race that you've played in D&D or in a TTRPG?
That is a difficult question because they all have. Oh, they're all so much fun.
Mm-hmm. If you
One
don't,
of
that's cool.
It's like picking your children,
one of
your favorite child.
right. Well, as far as D&D, one of my favorite official characters so far is the dwarf, right? Playing a
Yes.
dwarf barbarian is just. Listen, the barbarian, they're not the smartest class, but you know what? What they lack for in brains, they make up in pure unbridled rage.
What
And
you
you know
see
what?
is what you get.
Exactly. Sometimes it's fun to not deal with sorcery points, aka mage bullets.
Yep.
Yeah, I
well,
agree.
That's what Joe Cat calls them anyway, but I quite like the name. But sometimes it's fun to not deal with all that stuff and just pick up a giant battle axe and smash.
It's so simple,
And you can do a lot of character work with it too, I feel like.
Yeah,
really get
I'm
into
thinking-
it.
I'm thinking about Aurelio. He was
Like,
one of my favorites.
You can have the basics of a barbarian, but make your character unique in some way that it's not just a Conan the Barbarian ripoff.
Right.
Oh yeah. I think the character I played, I forget the barbarian subclass. It's the one that deals with like animals and stuff, and you can get
Totem,
claws
I think
and
it
like
is.
Path of the Beast.
I think
think
it
it's
might have been
Path of
Path of the
Totem, isn't
Beast.
it?
I don't know. It's
Oh, okay.
yeah. It's the furry bait subclass. Let's call it that.
My next quick question is: Have you had a favorite scene that happened in an RPG? Doesn't have to be D&D, just RPG in general.
Oh, Manny, how do you even pick a scene like that?
Oh, I have my scene.
Oh,
I
of
have
course
two
you
of
do,
them.
and I know which one it is.
One as a DM and one as a player. They stick out to me.
Well, as a player, I think my favorite scene was in my very first D&D campaign. We were playing through, I believe it was a pre-made campaign, and it was this villain Zoth, and there were like a bunch of masks that we had to collect. And at one point, we were in a castle, and there was this zombie plague going around within the city walls, and we had to escape through this secret passage. And I laid down a sheet of ice. I was playing as a human sorcerer at the time, and I laid down this sheet of ice, and we jumped onto the fighter's shield and used it like a sled to escape from the castle as zombies were storming it and infecting all of the knights and nobles inside. And that was probably my absolute favorite scene as a player. As a DM, it was during the escape of that Tron campaign I did in Lasers and Feelings, where I had set them up to do, your very typical like Tron thing, like set up those light fences and try to get the robots to crash into them. And instead, what my players ended up doing is they basically ran them off the road and got creative and it's a lot of fun, essentially kind of using the robots' own bikes against themselves. And it's always fun seeing how your players take the story you have and just kind of mold it and change it. It's so much fun.
Yes.
How they take the initiative, and while you think they may go one way, the way that they actually do go is totally different than anything you ever expected.
What story I was... Oh,
beautiful.
sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I was running the Storm King's Thunder, and there was one of the giants. And instead of fighting the giants, Richard had his character seduce and sleep with the giant. That's how they got a piece of the shell conch, and then that's how they escaped when this giant was sleeping.
Fantastic.
I was playing. It was Aurelio.
It was a dwarf sleeping with the giant.
I was a dwarf. So I had went to the potion maker and got a potion of enlarge. So he drank the potion, and he had Jesse allowed it to be homebrewed to where it would, just focus on one part. So she
dice rolls really well too, though.
I think I got a 19 or a natural 20.
Yeah, you did really well. Like you could have failed horribly, but
it was beautiful. It was probably one of the funniest things I've been a part of too. But Jess, you got any other questions for Pepper here?
No, not really.
Pepper, you got anything you'd like to ask either one of us before we close out the podcast?
Well, I just want to say thanks for having me on. Thanks for letting me ramble about video games and accessibility and all that. Hey, anybody who's been wondering about playing TTRPG or hell, even video games, and you're blind, come on over to Knights of the Braille. We got some interesting people.
We sure do. And as always, you can find me at Braille Knights on Twitter. You can email me at knightsofthebraille@gmail.com. You can find Jesse at the JesseB83, and you can find
so I have to tweet more.
You won't. And Pepper, you want to give your Twitter and Twitch and all that other good information?
Well, I am, as I said, I am Pepper the Vixen on Twitter, on Twitch, on base, just about everywhere, unless there's like a character limit, which there's a few of those. But Twitter is my main. I do stream on Twitch. I do Stardew Valley. I do music, and that's about it, really.
Excellent. Again, thank you, Pepper, for joining us, and upcoming soon that we will have one of our random topic podcasts with pepper the Vixen on it. So be sure to tune in and look forward to that. Thank you, everybody. And remember to like, share, and subscribe.
This episode is brought to you by the Knights of the Braille and is made possible through the support of viewers such as you. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to get all of the latest information and episodes. Thank you.